Hey girl.
2 lines means I'm pregnant, right?
I just woke up to the sound of my roommate Liu Meng Meng. I reflexively clenched my fists. I was trying to process everything, but I still managed to reply. Yeah.
My man's swimmers are top tier. He made me a cute little prego with a huge bump in one shot. Lu Meng Meng rubbed her flat stomach.
Pretending she already had a bump. She looked up at me, but recoiled from the pure hatred in my eyes. I masked my feelings instantly, forcing a fake smile. Well, congrats then.
In my last life, she did this too, flexing her pregnancy like a trophy. Later, when she got a heat rash from her long hair,
I told her to get a haircut. You should trim that hair. Cut it? No way. I'll cut my son's manhood right off. Week 10 came around, time for a checkup, and she said, ultrasounds make my son shy.
he won't want to come out if we look. Her ignorance was laughable.
I told her, dead serious. Your prenatal care is non-negotiable in modern medicine. Even her mysterious boyfriend, who was never around, agreed. She dragged herself to the hospital, but it was an ectopic pregnancy. She had to have an abortion. Sitting outside the OR, she seemed to be thinking, then suddenly burst into tears. I never expected Liu Meng Meng to blame me for it.
Later, while I was asleep,
She secretly turned on the gas and sealed every single window. I didn't realize back then that she could be so evil. I just slept soundly. In a haze, I heard her voice. It's your fault I lost my boy. With pure rage in my heart, I died in that thick stench of gas. But when I opened my eyes again,
I was back to the day. Liu Meng Meng found out she was pregnant. Talk about karma. I watched her skip out of my room and gritted my teeth.
this time things are going to be different. Liu Meng Meng is just my roommate.
2 bedrooms, 1 living room. I take the master. He has the smaller one. When we first moved in,
I was grinding for grad school, hitting the books after work. Liu Meng Meng was always in her room too, according to her. Her man absolutely adored her. He'd send her 20 grand a month, just for spending money. Hey, you should get a boyfriend too. Aren't you jealous of how much mine loves me? I mean, look at me.
a woman needs her own career. Only unloved girls have to earn their own cash. Me? I'm cherished. That comment stung for a while. My parents always favored my brother. So after college,
I moved to a new city alone, studying for exams after work. Then for some reason, Liu Meng Meng stopped coming home often.
I didn't mind. I never asked why. Next time I saw her,
She was waving a positive pregnancy test. I'm officially a tiny prego, with a huge bump now. You'll have to take over the chores. We wouldn't want the baby getting upset, right? Thinking back to the brainless things she did in my past life, I flashed a fake smile. So, you're pregnant.
When's your boyfriend?
Finally giving you a wedding?
her face froze for a split second. He's super busy.
Once my son is born, a wedding is a given. I'll make sure you get an invite. In my past life,
I overheard her saying, "When are you going to marry me? Your son can't wait forever. That old hag at your house can't even give you a son. What's the point of just having girls?"
All right. I get it. I'll shut up, okay?
don't worry, I'll take good care of our son. Sure, society's more open now, and girls getting pregnant isn't rare.
But being a side chick, that's always going to be trashy. Back then, I just thought of us.
As roommates, I didn't say anything.
But now, I'm done playing nice.
No more pretending. Her biggest fear is her man dumping her, right? If you play the game, you better be ready to lose. She can lie to others, but she can't lie to herself. I grabbed her arm, acting all sweet. When we've lived together for so long.
When do I get to meet your man? I want to congratulate him too. When he's free, I'll let you know.
She gave me some lame excuse and practically bolted from the room. Ever since she got pregnant, all the chores in the shared areas fell on me. In my past life, I didn't complain. I was just trying to be nice since she was pregnant. But now, I'm done babysitting her. This is your trash, right? Clean it up. Liu Meng Meng's expression soured. But I'm a tiny prego with a huge bump. I can't be doing housework. There were snack wrappers all over the floor.
And drink spills. Even the couch cushions were a total mess. My bad.
I forgot. You're a tiny, prego. I smirked at her, dropped the broom, and went back to my room. That tiny prego term is just something teen moms online used to sound all cute and innocent. Liu Mengmeng is a grown woman, but she uses it constantly. I mean, makes sense. She's not just a tiny prego. She's also someone's tiny side piece. From then on, I didn't touch the trash. Not my mess, not my problem. The living room was officially her own personal dump. It was the middle of summer, and with all that food left out, it was only a matter of time.
Before the roaches moved in, after I realized I'd been reborn,
I tried to get out. I called the landlord and the agent. But the landlord was like, "You signed a year's lease? If I break it and you're not getting a dime of that deposit back." The agent couldn't find anything cheaper than this dump either. I looked at my bank balance, a shaky 4-digit number, and gave up on moving out. Guess I'm stuck here, suffering through Liu Mengmeng's nonsense a bit longer. She barged into my room, looking all panicked. "Help me check something. My neck is so itchy. Just like last time." She refused to tie her hair up, and with that pregnancy heat, she was covered in rashes. I don't know anything about that.
why don't you ask your man? I can't ask him that. He's a busy guy. I don't want to bug him with drama.
She looked all bashful. It made me want to gag. "Well, I can't help you then." She rolled her eyes at me. "Aren't you supposed to be smart? How do you not know something this simple?" I laughed to myself. I'm a student, not a doctor. I don't have all the answers. Google it yourself. Wait. Oh, curry. Maybe it was one of those roaches? The gap under your door is pretty big. What, roaches? I'm terrified of bugs. That's so gross. She stomped out to call her dear hubby.
The guy's voice was loud. Can you stop calling me?
About this petty crap?
I'm in a meeting. This is a big deal.
Don't you get that? But there are roaches. I'm scared. Then clean up. You're pregnant, not disabled. Weirdly enough, that guy's voice
Sounded super familiar. Like I'd heard it before. I just couldn't place it.
He hung up on her. Men are all trash. I'm out here carrying his baby, and he treats me like this? I had a bigger plan. Couldn't start a war just yet. I walked out of my room. I'll help you clean up, Wen-Wen. Your boyfriend is being a jerk. You're pregnant. He should get you a better place. He's just busy. Besides, I don't want to waste all his money. A girl's gotta be independent. I practically choked on that. Independent. Coming from her mouth, it sounded so wrong. I gave her a big thumbs up. Amazing. Wen-Wen, are you bleeding? No way. I just cut my finger. Yeah, right. Those knives haven't been touched in ages. Be careful. Why are you even cooking? Why hasn't your man hired a maid for you?
When my friend was pregnant, her husband was all over her. Her mother-in-law, too. She made her all these healthy meals.
And you're just eating takeout. That's not good for the baby.
Your boyfriend really doesn't care. And your future mother-in-law? How can she leave a pregnant girl like this? She clearly doesn't respect you.
I shook my head, sighing, acting like I was truly concerned.
She gave me an awkward smile. Thanks. He's just really busy. Nobody is that busy.
You're pregnant for real. Call him. I'll talk to him. I acted like I was on her side.
But I knew she'd never let me talk to her man.
She turned cold. I'll handle my own business. She's such a pick-me.
She thinks everyone wants her man, but he's just using work as an excuse to ditch his pregnant girl in a rental. She said he gave her $20,000 a month. If that was true, why was she sharing a room?
With a broke college student like me? In this town. Clout is a choice.
I didn't see the point in calling her out yet. Whatever. But definitely tell your man.
You're bleeding and it's not safe here. When I grabbed her hand, there wasn't even
a scratch on her fingers. She still refused a checkup. Still delusional about having a son if she wanted to suffer.
That's on her. I'm happy to watch the train wreck. But about a month later,
I realized her condition was different this time. Before, at this stage,
the fetus was already gone. But not now.
Lately, at night, I could hear her groaning in pain from the next room. I ignored it at first.
After all, she literally gassed me in my last life. But then I thought,
if she actually dies in this rental, it's a huge headache for me. The landlord would sue me for sure. She's clueless about the law, but I'm not. I just pushed her door open. She never cared about my privacy, so why should I care about hers? When you okay? But damn, she was ghostly pale and drenched in sweat. She saw me and tried to sit up, but just collapsed back down. I'm fine, get out. Still acting tough, but looking at her, literally on death's door. I wasn't buying the I'm fine act. The second I walked in, I smelled it.
A literal stench of decay. It wasn't old takeout. It was like rotten eggs.
Mixed with dead fish. I took a few steps closer, and the closer I got to her bed, the worse it got. A horrifying thought
Flashed through my mind before I could process. Get out. Her lips were white, and she was shaking, pointing at the door like she'd literally die to get me out. I bit my lip, went back to my room, and dialed 911. Ectopic pregnancies mean pain and blood, but they don't smell like actual death. If she wants to die, whatever, but she's not doing it in my house. The paramedics got here fast. Liu Mingming started screaming the second she saw them. I'm not sick. You can't take me. I'm not going to the hospital. The doctors knew better. They smelled the room.
and their faces went grim. They asked what our relationship was. Just roommates, I said.
They told me to call her husband.
But I didn't even have his number. By the time she was in the ambulance, she was...
Totally spent. Laying there, she glared at me like she wanted me dead. I ignored her. Preliminary diagnosis.
The fetus is no longer viable. It was still inside her, though. I leaned against the wall.
My whole body going numb from shock. That explains everything. Why she barely bled, and why she was in such agony.
That smell in her room, it wasn't garbage. It was a dead life.
Rotting inside her? I can't imagine that pain. A gruesome image.
Flashed before my eyes. I felt like I was going to puke. Any later, and we'd be losing the mother too. The doctor sighed, ordering the nurses to wheel her into surgery.
Before she went in,
They handed me her phone. Finding her man's number was easy. It was saved.
As Hubby Bear. But that number? I pulled up.
My own contacts. No, wait, it's him. I hit dial.
A cranky voice answered on the first ring. Can you stop calling me?
In the middle of the night. Chinbin, it's Chen Fei. I'm Liu Meng's roommate.
Total silence. He didn't say a word. Chinbin is my literal uncle.
My grandma had 2 kids. My mom and auntie.
My mom had me and my brother. It's just us. Mom always trashed Dad for being a loser.
Telling him to be more like Uncle Chin. But she was always proud of having a son. Auntie only has a daughter. Auntie's been a boss for years. She met Uncle Chin later in life.
they had my cousin after they married. She's not into that boys are better crap. She's always been good to me. Used to invite me.
To her place all the time. She even helped me pay for college when I was broke. Told me to keep it a secret from Mom. Those two don't really get along, but they still play nice at family dinners. Typical family drama. As for Uncle Chin,
I only see him once a year at Christmas. First time I saw him, I thought he was the definition of, perfect gentleman. Yeah, he's middle-aged, but stays in great shape.
Gold-rimmed glasses.
Totally refined. And the kicker? At every family dinner, he acts like the ultimate family man, letting Auntie order first, helping her with her coat, always attentive. He's got her favorite dishes memorized. It makes my mom lose her mind every year. Look at him. Are rich, successful, and adores his wife. And then there's you. A total loser. A nobody. Now this guy, my mom's ideal husband, the gold standard she's held over Dad's head.
the man who built this perfect fake persona.
His side chick is literally my roommate, and she's carrying his kid. This is just so much drama. Uncle, why are you silent? Liu Ming's in surgery. You should come down and pay the bill. Oh, look, Faye. I'll just Venmo you the cash. I can't make it there. And about Meng Ming, him, she's just a coworker. He sounded so freaking nervous. I almost laughed out loud. I told you.
I'm her roommate. What do you think? She's been telling me?
Oh, my man's swimmers are elite. He made me a tiny prego. Here, with a huge bump in one shot. I mocked her high-pitched voice.
And repeated her cringeworthy flex back to him. Silence on the other end. Again, Auntie was good to me.
But this uncle is basically a stranger. He betrayed her. I don't owe him anything. I looked at the hospital bill and added a 0 at the end. Send the money now, uncle. or Auntie gets a phone call. Right as the OR doors opened, the notification popped up on my phone. Looking at her pale face, I felt a surge of anger. Before, we just had past life blood feuds. But now, it's personal. She's the one wrecking Auntie's family. She's no innocent girl. She's a homewrecker, plain and simple. The anesthesia wore off quickly. Her eyes fluttered open. She saw me first. Where's my son? She looked at me, eyes wide, her lips bone dry. Yeah, dead and buried. Short and sweet. Her face started to twitch. A second later, she started screaming.
You killed my son.
My baby! She tried to swing at me, but I dodged easily. I grabbed her wrist. Your baby was already dead inside you, and he was literally rotting in your womb.
Any longer and you'd be dead too.
I'm not living next to a corpse. I know, my son. She kept thrashing. I gripped her tighter. How are you even an adult? Ever heard of a doctor? Seriously. It was an ectopic pregnancy. Do you even know what that is? Her eyes darted away. Then I saw it. She'd probably Googled
Her symptoms. She knew. I let go of her wrist.
Look, I'm just letting you know. Your man already sent
The money for the surgery. Just chill here for now. She exploded again. You told him. You told him the baby's gone?
How could you do that? You just want to ruin me, don't you? She screamed so much that she started coughing uncontrollably. I just watched her cold. I waited for her to stop before speaking. Yeah, I told him. And the doctor told me, since you let a dead fetus rot inside you for so long, I hear you have a severe infection. You might never be able to have kids again.
Her eyes nearly popped out of her head. She tried to speak, but nothing came out. Nothing at all.
She passed out once more. Kinby said they're co-workers, but I've lived with her for months. She doesn't even have a job. Co-workers in a hotel room, please? I took that extra cash from him and sent it straight to Auntie's account. Hearing him lose it on the phone, I could tell he never even
Wanted that baby? She just thought
a hot year rich guy was her meal ticket. She used the pregnancy
to lock him down. Too bad for her.
Yes, Auntie is the one with all the real money.
That's why he only got her a cheap-ass room. He's actually broke. Men always want to have their cake and eat it too.
Always making excuses for their trashy behavior. It's all lies. Honestly, rich or poor, a cheater is just like that dead fetus. Better off gone.
I gave Auntie a call. What's up, Faye? Her voice was cool, as usual.
But I know she's all hot underneath. Auntie, I need you to meet someone. Auntie, meet Liu Mingming, Uncle's side piece. Oh, and she's my roommate. Auntie stood there, silent, staring through the hospital window. I just found out. The baby was Uncle's. I'm so sorry, I whispered. I knew Auntie didn't need a man, a woman who can't live without a man, but still, being betrayed. Like, this hurts. No woman could ever be cool with this. Witnessing the whole thing was so freaking awkward. Babe, let me explain. It's not what it looks like. She's just a coworker.
Don't listen to her lies. Suddenly, Uncle Chin came running down the hall.
He literally dropped to his knees. Please forgive me. She's just a coworker. I took a step back. Talk about a desperate apology, straight to the knees. But since Auntie arrived, she hasn't said a word. Right now, she's just staring at him. Like he's some stray dog. Per our prenup, you can go pack your bags. You're leaving without a dime. Her voice was cold as ice. Zero emotion. Uncle Tin froze. I was stunned too. That is the power of being the breadwinner. I looked at Auntie, eyes literally sparkling. So freaking cool. Babe, we're just co-workers, I swear. Nothing else happened. He crawled toward her on his knees. That custom suit was getting totally trashed. Auntie didn't even blink. Faye, thank you for today. I already knew. He was a player. I just didn't expect him to have a whole love child. Auntie looked at me with a sad smile. It's okay, Auntie. I waved my hands. Then I pointed to Uncle Tin on the floor. So what about him? Does my cousin know? She's the same age as my brother. She's in high school. Losing her dad right now would totally wreck her studies. Auntie patted my head, her voice steady. She needs a happy home, not a father who's a total traitor. By the time Liu Mingming woke up, Auntie and I were literally sitting by her bed eating snacks. We had some facts she needed to hear. Awake, I stood up, brushed the crumbs off my clothes. My son, still with this son stuff. I literally rolled my eyes. Hey, son. How does she even know? It's a boy, obsessed with giving birth to a male heir. So pathetic. So you're Liu Mingming. You thought Chinbin would dump his family for you? Auntie's voice cut through the air. Liu Mingming shut up instantly, eyes wide, staring at Auntie. She went even paler. You're about my niece's age. She has a bright future ahead, and you're just a side chick, obsessed with some broke guy trying to trap him with a baby. Auntie smirked. How pathetic. Liu Mengmeng recoiled under the covers. She wasn't acting all flashy, like she did at the house. She looked like a total wreck. You're his wife.
The old hag, right after she said it, she realized how
Stupid she sounded. Auntie was glowing, while Liu Mingming looked like the old hag.
she'd just had surgery, but Auntie was dripping in.
Diamonds and designer bags, heels on point. She looked like total royalty.
Nowadays, if you want to look forever young, money is the best skincare. Liu Mengming's only asset was her youth, and she's losing that fast.
Chinbin's in the hall. Want to see him? I'm more than happy to take out the trash. I swung the door open right on cue. Chinbin looked like he wanted to kill me, but the second he saw Auntie behind me, he completely folded. Barf, babe, she's just a co-worker, I swear. I would never cheat on you or blow up our family. I love you. He was ready to drop and beg again. At this point, I wasn't even surprised. They say a man's dignity is worth gold, but a man who can't stay loyal isn't really a man at all. Auntie ignored his pathetic display. She turned to Ming Ming. See this?
This is your hubby bear.
Ming Ming's face went from pale to ghostly. She never imagined her supposed meal ticket would crash and burn this fast. I suddenly remembered what she used to brag about to me. A girl's gotta be independent. After we left the hospital, Auntie told me to move in with her. I politely declined. My bio family is already a mess. I can't change them, so I have to fix my own life. The cash Chinbin sent me was enough to cover a week of hospital bills for her, but a week later, Ming Ming still hadn't come back to the apartment. I asked the landlord. He said she hadn't cancelled the lease or mentioned moving her stuff. Something was off. I called Auntie immediately. I asked if Chinbin had been around. Turns out, he only showed up once at the courthouse. They won't see him again until the divorce is final. I hung up. A cold shiver ran down my spine. I know how crazy Ming Ming is, like actual psycho levels, in my last life just because I told her to get a checkup. She blamed me for her miscarriage and literally gassed me. And this time, I exposed her for being the trashy side chick. She's definitely coming for my head. I was terrified of what she'd do. I forced myself to stay calm. I called Chinbin. I needed to know where he was. No answer. He wouldn't dare touch Auntie, but I'm an easy target. I knew it. I grabbed my stuff to get out of there. I got to the elevators and saw the floor numbers climbing. It was heading straight for my floor. My gut told me that elevator was stopping right here, and the people inside were bad news. Never underestimate a woman's intuition. I didn't hesitate. I bolted for the stairs. I barely made it down one flight. When the elevator pinged, I heard familiar voices above.
You sure she's even home?
She's always here. She rots in her room all day, claims she's studying. But who knows what she's actually doing.
It was Ming Ming and Chinbin. My hands were slick with sweat. If I hadn't bolted, I'd be a dead woman walking. I dialed 911. My finger hovered over the call button, but right as I was about to hit it, I stopped. Ming Ming has her own key. She could just lie and say she was just bringing a guest over. The cops couldn't do a thing. We're roommates, unfortunately. Bringing a guy over is just trashy, not illegal. Nobody knows how brutally I died before, and nobody would believe that I was reborn. I'm on my own. If I don't finish them off now, my life will be a living hell forever. I crouched in the stairwell and called Auntie. My mom and Auntie don't exactly get along, so in my past life, we drifted apart. But this time, after Ming Ming left the hospital, Auntie spilled the real tea. She told me how she kicked Kim into the curb so easily. She had an airtight prenup, plus some serious business. Connections with debt collectors. Those guys don't play around. They'll make your life an absolute nightmare. That's why Chinbin only cheated on the low. He never had the balls to face her. After the call, I felt way better. Now we just wait for Auntie's squad. Every second felt like an hour. No sound coming from the apartment. They were still in there. If they just wanted revenge, they would have left when they saw I was out. But a man and woman, alone for this long? Even a kid could guess what they were up to. Auntie pulled up downstairs. Elevator doors opened. Behind her was a whole crew in black suits. I was low-key shocked. Not at all what I expected from debt collectors. No neck tattoos or scary scars. I whispered to Auntie, Are debt collectors this fancy now? She laughed. Faye.
What planet are you on? This is a civil society, sweetie.
I quietly unlocked the door. It was quiet, but you could still hear some very loud moaning. I gotta admit, the soundproofing in this place sucks. I was blushing like crazy, being single my whole life. I've never heard a live show like this. The crew was super professional, cold and efficient. They walked up to the bedroom door.
And kicked it wide open.
Pure chaos ensued. Who are you?
Stop recording. Stop. Who the hell are you guys? Get out.
I said out. Auntie and I just sat on the couch, listening to Meng Meng and Chin Bin lose their minds.
Then came Chin Bin's pathetic screaming. Stop, please stop. No, I beg you. I felt a little weird just sitting there. I wanted to peek, but Auntie grabbed me. You're too young for this toxic mess. I couldn't help but chuckle. To her, I guess I'll always be the kid. A moment later, Chin Bin crawled through the guy's legs. He made it to the living room and saw Auntie sitting right there. He froze like a deer in headlights. Babe, I laughed to myself. Is that a habit? Or is he just that delusional? I'm just here to help Faye get her stuff. But since you're here, I have some news for you. The bedroom had gone dead silent. Guess the guys didn't bother with Meng Meng. They just trashed Chin Bin. He totally deserved it, though. Auntie kept going.
The board decided to downsize the whole logistics department. So you're out of a job.
I actually wanted to laugh out loud. Even if there were layoffs, it wouldn't just be logistics. Auntie was clearly just erasing him from her life. For a guy like him, taking away his job is the ultimate way to break him. Chin Bin just stood there, looking like a complete idiot. But then a scream came from the bedroom. You told me you were the CEO.
Logistics? You lied to me. The guys let her out. Meng Meng ran into the living room.
Hair a complete mess. She started swinging at him. I just watched the show. Popcorn, anyone? He took Auntie's insults because she controlled all the cash. But to him, Meng Meng was just a side piece. He wasn't about to take her crap. Kun Bin didn't care about his dignity. He stood up and slapped her right across the face. You little trash.
All you do is beg for money. No kid, no job. You're a total jinx.
I'm a jinx. She hit the floor hard. Clutching her face, she was stunned.
Pure shock in her eyes. I gave you my best years. I thought you were a CEO.
But you're just in logistics. You're a glorified janitor. How pathetic are you? The audacity. Shut your trashy mouth. He went for another hit.
But one of the guys pinned his arm to the floor. He just glared at her with pure hate.
Toxic love. Toxic ending.
Half an hour ago, they were a team. Now they were
tearing each other apart. One of the guys called the cops. Chin Bin assaulting her was caught on tape, even if he doesn't get long. I know Auntie will make sure. He rots in a cell forever. Chin Bin was hauled off in cuffs.
Meng Meng sat there in a blanket, looking like a shell of a person. I grabbed my clothes.
I was finally done with this place. My promotion, and a sweet bonus, meant I could finally afford a studio. Meng Meng, I called out. No answer. She just stared at the floor. The side chick's plan failed. I looked at Auntie, standing strong. Then back at the mess on the floor. You were right, girl. A girl's gotta be independent. Meng Meng? Still nothing. Just staring blankly. Red marks were visible on her arms from the scuffle. Her eyes, once full of arrogance and flex, were now just empty pits. I tossed her a jacket from the couch. It landed at her feet. She looked up slowly, like a broken puppet. Faye! Her voice was raspy and broken. Her eyes were full of hate, mixed with a total loss of reality. It was you ruined my life. I just laughed. I stood there, with my luggage, looking down at her. I ruined your life? Stai Meng Meng, you still don't get it. You ruined your own life. She suddenly lunged at me, like a cornered animal. Total crazy cat energy. But she was too weak, and just collapsed back down. If you hadn't taken me to the hospital, my son wouldn't be dead. If you hadn't called that woman, my man wouldn't have dumped me. If you'd just minded your own business, I'd be a rich wife right now. She was screaming into the floor. Tears and dust turned her pretty face into a complete wreck. I crouched down. I told her everything about my past life and how she killed me. Last time you flexed that positive test the same way. You refused the haircut, refused the checkup, and claimed ultrasounds were too shy. I begged you to go to the doctor. You went lost the baby and then you turned on the gas while I was sleeping and sealed the windows. Her screaming stopped instantly. She looked at me Like I was the crazy one. What the hell are you saying? Lying, I smirked. You said cutting hair would cut off your son's manhood. You said only unloved girls have to earn their own cash. You said my man's swimmers are elite. You called yourself this tiny prego. Nobody else knows those lines. How would I know them? Her face turned white as a sheet. Her lips were trembling with fear. She backed away, terrified. Like I was a ghost coming for her. Last time, yeah, you lost the baby because you're dumb. But you blamed me and killed me. You literally took my life. This time, I didn't say a word. I let you make your own mistakes. You were so delusional about having a son that you kept a dead baby inside you. You almost rotted to death. I only called 911 because I didn't want a corpse in here. I don't need that drama. I stood up, dusted off my pants. Being a side chick was your choice. Trapping a man with a baby was your choice too. It was all you, all of it. You refused to live in reality, refused to be a grown-up. That's on you. Your life being a wreck is not my problem. She just stayed there, speechless, just crying silently. I handled the rent stuff. Stay or leave. It's your call now. I got to the door. One last look back. Stay out of my sight. You took my life once. Now you can pay me back. With your own ruined life. We're even. I walked out the door. I left that toxic apartment and all the bad blood behind me once and for all, never looking back. Auntie found me a nice studio, close to work and school. Great security. Perfect price. I insisted on paying my own rent. Auntie finally gave in. She just smiled and patted my head. You're all grown up, she said. Day one in the new place. First thing I did, installed a top-tier gas alarm and a heavy-duty deadbolt. Turning that key for the first time, I finally felt safe. That smell of gas from my last moments. And her voice screaming, "Oh, it's your fault my son is gone." It was all gone. No more nightmares of her choking the life out of me. Life was finally peaceful. Hitting the books every night. Total grind mode. Hanging with Auntie on weekends. Catching up with my cousin. She was so cool about the chin bin stuff. No drama, no tears. Just gave Auntie a hug and said, "Mom, do whatever makes you happy. I'm always on your team." Looking at them together, such a wholesome vibe. Warmed my heart. Then the bio family called. Mom screaming into the phone, called me a traitor. My brother needed a new gaming PC. Demanded $8,000 right now. Or I'll come to your job and ruin you. You'll be fired by tomorrow. Last time I would have folded. I was their personal ATM. Worked my ass off to pay for it. My lazy-ass brother's lifestyle. I didn't even buy myself new clothes. And all I got was a lonely death in a rental. But now, no, I'm broke. Zero emotion in my voice. Auntie paid for my college. I already paid you guys back. Everything I owe and then some.
Brother is a grown-ass man.
He wants stuff? He can earn it himself. You ungrateful brat. Think you're big now? She was absolutely screaming. I wasted years raising you. No money? Fine. I'm coming to your office tomorrow. Everyone will know. What a toxic daughter you are. I just smirked. Great, my boss would love to meet the parents who leech off their working daughter to pay for their lazy-ass son. If you want to be the local embarrassment, come on down. Silence on the other end. Then she started her fake sobbing routine. Heartless brat. Oh, my life is so hard. I'm done listening. Hung up. Blocked all of them. Instantly. Putting that phone down. I didn't feel bad at all. I felt lighter than air. I'm officially free from their toxic family ties. No more sacrificing my own life for theirs. Team being crashed. Even harder than I expected. Arrested for assault, sure. But Auntie found way more dirt. Years of embezzlement. And cooking the books. In the logistics depth. Huge numbers. The law is handling it now. Multiple charges. Kin Bin got 5 years. On his court date. Auntie didn't even show up. Sent her lawyers instead. She took my cousin on a nice vacay. Her Insta is all beaches and blue skies. My cousin looks so happy. Living their best life. I never saw Liu Wenwen again. I never saw Meng Meng again. Heard from the old landlord that she stayed another 2 weeks before vanishing. Didn't even take her deposit. Someone saw her working in some greasy spoon, washing dishes and bussing tables, wearing a faded old uniform. No more. Can't see prego flexes. She looked dead inside. No light in her eyes. Her family found out she was a side chick and that she's infertile. They basically disowned her. Cut all contact. She's alone in the city now, working dead-end jobs just to eat. Hearing this, I felt nothing. No pity, no joy. She made her bed. Now she can sleep in it. I moved on from the absolute dumpster fire. No use wasting energy on a ghost. As fall set in, I finally finished my 3rd round of prep for grad school. My textbooks were literally falling apart, covered in highlight and notes. Every practice test, color-coded and perfectly organized. My new studio is on the 16th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows, facing the skyline. 3 p.m. golden hour. Hits just right. My desk and my aesthetic. Curtains look amazing. Even the dust motes look magical in the light. Put my pen down, stretched my sore wrists, grabbed a glass of water, walked past the living room, and saw the gas alarm on the wall. My day one priority. Emergency numbers posted right next to it. 911 is at the top. Sometimes I can still smell the gas in my sleep, like a ghost memory, haunting my dreams, making it hard to breathe. But now, no more hate or fear, just a quiet, peaceful closure, like closing a really trashy novel. Even if the ending sucked, it's finally over. Weekend vibes, bringing fruit over to aunties. After the divorce was official, she sold that giant mansion, got a cool penthouse, closer to my cousin's school. The place looks so cozy, river views for days. Her balcony is a whole plant mom goal. So much life. Lin Chi is in her senior year. Sat prep is killing her. Ever since the Chinbin thing, she hasn't even blinked. Honestly, she's more mature now. She was never close to him anyway. Now he's basically dead to her, just studying and hanging with mom. They're closer than ever. I walked in, and she was grinding through math, concentrating so hard. Auntie was on the couch, catching up on work emails, looking like a silk-clad boss. Effortless messy bun. She just looked peaceful, such a powerful, relaxed vibe. So different from the icy woman at the hospital corridor. She's finally living for herself. Hey, Faye.
She looked up and smiled. Come on in. I just made some dessert soup. Have some.
I dropped the fruit on the table, glanced at her laptop, full of financial reports. Auntie, don't you ever take a break? Force of habit. She handed me a bowl.
I spent years prioritizing the house and protecting Chinbin's ego. Passed on so many opportunities. But now, 0 dead weight. I can finally go full girl boss. She looked at me and smiled. I really owe you one. If it wasn't for you, I'd still be living in a lie, playing happy wife to that total loser for years.
Auntie, please. You don't have to thank me. He's the one who messed up. Besides, you literally funded my college. I'll never forget that. She ruffled my hair, looked at me with such kindness. You've always been such a good kid. Too quiet about your own pain. Your mom used to call me crying poor, saying you were disrespectful. I thought you were just being difficult. But now I see the truth. She was just using you as an ATM. Hearing biofamily made my stomach sink. Ever since I blocked all their numbers, I've had 2 months of peace. I thought they finally gave up. But then they actually showed up at my office. It was a Friday. Just finished a meeting. Heading down for my lunch order. Saw a huge crowd at the entrance. My mom was literally screaming on the pavement. Dad was just standing there sighing. My brother was leaning against the wall, smoking like a prick. The second she saw me, she launched herself off the ground, grabbed my arm with a death grip, nails digging deep into my skin. Look at her, she screamed. Everyone look. If this is my toxic, ungrateful daughter, living the high life, while her parents starve. Ditching her own brother! Coworkers and strangers were staring now, pointing and whispering. Total public shaming. Seen this movie before. Last time, brother lost 20 grand gambling. They staged this same drama. I was so scared back then, afraid of losing my job, begging them to stop. Handed over 6 months of rent money, just to shut them up. But this time, looking at this toxic woman, my deadbeat father, and my lazy brother, I felt absolutely nothing. No sadness, no self-pity. I yanked my arm away. My voice was dead cold. Let go. We can talk, but stop. This pathetic little scene.
Pathetic?
You're the pathetic one. She tried to lunge at me again. I stepped aside. He owes 30 grand in online loans. Loan sharks are at the door. You're his sister. You pay up. Oh, we'll be here every single day. I'll tell your boss. What a cold-hearted brat you are. I'll run you out of this town. I'm not paying. I looked her in the eye. 1 syllable at a time. He's 22 years old. He's a literal adult. His debt, his problem. I'm not his mate or his ATM. He's your flesh and blood. Family helps family. Dad finally chimed in, glaring at me. We raised you. Is this how you repay us? Where's your heart? Raised me? I laughed. I pulled out my phone, opened up my bank statements. In the last 3 years, since I graduated, I've sent you over 180 grand. Look at my salary. I barely even eat, or buy basic stuff. Because it all went to you. Just so Lay could be a bum. At my tuition, Auntie paid it, not you. You didn't give me a dime. When I moved out to find a job, you never even asked if I was okay. Not once. All you do is demand cash. The debt for raising me? It's been paid in full. The crowd shifted instantly. People were looking at my parents, like they were literal parasites. Mom turned beet red, ready for another tantrum. I just pulled out my phone. I called 911 right in her face. Hello, officer. I've got people here. Starting drama at my workplace. Harassment and public disturbance. Location, Block B Office Park. They panicked instantly. Mom grabbed my hand. Are you crazy? Her voice shook. Calling the cops on your own parents? You're the ones harassing me and ruining my reputation at work. I pulled away. Cold stare. Let me be clear. The law says I have basic legal duties to you, but I owe my brother exactly 0. I'll send you 1,000 a month for support. That's plenty for life back home. Other than that, you're not getting another dime. If you show up at my job again, or try to find where I live, I will literally sue you. We can let the judge handle it then. I thought that was the end of it, but they were persistent leeches. They tracked down Auntie's address, through some distant relatives, staged another scene at her place. I didn't even bother going. Auntie just set her lawyers on them. They got a cease and desist. It outlined my legal limits, and Hassan listed every single time they tried to extort me. Real talk. One more time, and we're going straight to court. Full legal repercussions. But that wasn't all. Auntie made a few calls.
Back to our hometown.
She exposed how they leached off me to coddle their deadbeat son. Word spread like wildfire. My prideful parents couldn't even show their faces anymore. They finally stopped bugging me. The day I finally cut the cord, I bought myself a freedom cupcake. I sat by the window, watching the city lights, eating my treat, and I just started crying. Not sad tears, happy ones. I was finally free from the family guilt trip. No more sacrificing my future for people who don't care. With the bio family drama handled, I thought I was in the clear. Continue walking peacefully. I was wrong. Meng Meng, who'd been ghosting, decided to make a comeback. Just got off work, walking out of the building. And there she was, fking Meng Meng. A few months had passed, and she looked like total trash. No more cute dresses or designer bags. No more perfect makeup. The cutesy act was gone. Now she was in her faded, crusty hoodie. Hair a greasy mess. Skin looking yellow. Eyes sunken in. She looked totally unhinged. A literal hot mess. She blocked me. Tried to grab my arm. I stepped back. Stay away from me. Chen Fei. Her voice was shot. Sounded like gravel. Pure resentment. Living your best life, huh? Promotions, raises. A fancy studio. It must be nice having backup. I just frowned. What do you want? What do I want? She snapped, screaming at me. It's all your fault. You ruined my entire life. I lost the baby. I can't even have kids now. Lost my man. My family disowned me. I'm literally starving. And you did this to me. You owe me. I just watched the train wreck. Meng Meng, you're delusional. I told you before. You wrecked your own life. Being a side chick was your choice. Ignoring the doctor was your choice. Letting the baby rot was your choice. Trying to trap Chinbin was your choice. You're in the gutter. Well, because of you. Leave me out of it. Liar, she screamed, bloodshot eyes, like a rabid dog. If you hadn't snitched, I'd be Mrs. Kin right now. If you hadn't called that hag, I wouldn't be broke. Listen up, Faye. Give me 100 grand right now, or I'm coming to your job every day. I'm dragging you down with me. I was done with her. Called building security and had her tossed out. Thought it was just a desperate cash grab. I didn't think she'd actually pull a whole cancel culture stunt. Next morning, a coworker sent me a link. It was a massive Reddit-style thread. The headline is sensational. Exposed female exec steals BFF's man. Causes miscarriage and infidelity. Absolute monster. Meng Meng was playing the ultimate victim card. Trashed by her BFF and her man. I was the villainous manipulator. Boyfriend snatcher. Baby killer. Pure fictional drama. She made up so many fake receipts. Put me on blast. The comment section was full of keyboard warriors. Total witch hunt. Someone even doxed my company and my handles. My team was asking questions. Everyone was side-eyeing me. Even HR called me in. Told me to handle the PR crisis. Reputational damage and all that. Old me would have had a mental breakdown. I would have just cried in bed. Helpless. But now, those toxic comments didn't even faze me. I was ready for this. I called Auntie's lawyer immediately, handed over the thread, the extortion recordings, and all the actual receipts, dropped the bomb on them. Kinbin's prison sentence, hospital logs, and their dirty texts, plus the CCTV footage of them trying to ambush me. Cease and desist, serve the same day. Delete the thread now. A public apology required. Damages for emotional distress. Or we're suing for defamation. Taking it all the way. Criminal charges included. And the cherry on top. We found out Qinmin used stolen funds to pay off Ming Ming. Over 80 grand. Illegal assets. Subject to forfeiture. Filed it with the DA's office. She had to pay back every cent. She thought she was extorting me. Didn't expect me to strike back. With a whole legal nuke. Total panic mode. Blowing up my phone. Blocked instantly. Then came the novel-length texts. 1 second, I'm vile. Next, she's sobbing for mercy. But I'm sorry. I messed up. I'll never do it again. Read receipts. Off. Silence. Pitying her would be a crime against myself. I was too soft before. I excused her because she was pregnant. Cleaned up her messes. And she rewarded me with a one-way ticket to the morgue. I will never give her again in this lifetime. Never again. When the begging failed,
She tried to corner me. Ambushed me on my
way home a few times.
I saw her coming a mile away. Expected her to snap. Carried pepper spray and an alarm. Had Auntie's driver pick me up every night. She couldn't even get close.
Finally, the court summons landed on her doorstep. Defamation plus major restitution. She was absolutely screwed. She had 0 options left. Deleted the thread. Posted a full public apology. Admitted to every single lie she told. Confessed her side chick. Status and the embezzlement. Way too late for that.
She avoided prison by coming clean early. No jail time. But 5 years probation. Plus that 80,000 bill for restitution. And 5 grand to me for being a psycho. She was totally broke.
Couldn't pay a cent. Working 3 jobs just to stay afloat. Not long after, I heard from the landlord that she left town. Vanished into thin air. When I heard the news, I was just in the library. Studying for finals. Golden leaves falling outside. Everything looked perfect. I looked up for a second. Then went right back to my books. It was like hearing news about a complete stranger. I felt nothing but peace. My past life's blood feud, and this life's toxic mess. We're finally even now. I'm done being haunted by the past. My life is finally mine, and I'm ready to live it.